to the Neutral Grounds podcast, where every opinion is unbiased and every joke is on the house. Let's get into it. So, today we have another fire episode for you guys. I um am actually proud to announce we're gonna have our first female guest on today. Now, actually, let me talk to y'all real quick. Let me talk to y'all real quick. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I know she's a pretty girl, but there's a lot of thirsty MFs on YouTube. Don't be a stalker. Don't be blowing up her DMs. She's taken. But with further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it today, guys. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and get her on here for you, and then we will jump right into the discussion for you guys today. Everybody, this is Shay. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor to introduce yourself. Just tell everybody where you're from, your name, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Shay. I am from Des Moines, Iowa. I've been in Arizona for the past 10 years or so.
Old.
And yeah, what?
No,
It's been 10
no, it
years.
has. I know it. Time goes by.
2015. Yeah, time's flying. Um, I'm in property management and I have a baby boy that I love so dearly. And yeah,
Awesome.
that is all.
Um, I know that I had everybody waiting for a while, so we are actually just gonna go ahead and dive right into it. So the first question of the day is gonna be, how do you feel regarding women getting plastic surgery? And I will let you have the floor first as the guest.
Yeah, sure. So
Excuse me.
women and plastic surgery. I think it's okay. Everything's okay in moderation. Now we have seen the plastic surgery culture kind of go a little bit on the obnoxious side, I'll say. But if it's something that you've been fighting as far as like insecurities and stuff like that, I think it's okay to get whatever feature that you want fixed, whether it's your nose or, a little bit of lipo or your boobs or whatever. I just think that it should be a decision that you've sat with for a while and is not an impulsive one.
Okay. I mean, I I agree with a lot of what you said. I would say for me though, um, I personally, I would say I'm opposed to it, and the reason why is I feel like God made you in a certain image, and he doesn't make mistakes. So
Sure.
yeah, so how he chose to create you is exactly how you're supposed to be, and you are perfect in that regard. And like J. Cole said it best, like you know, you can't really fix what God already put his paintbrush on.
Yeah.
So that's my
Now, is this regarding women or does this include men too? Because I know
so
you
so
asked
the so
women in
right.
plastic surgery because the men are getting hair transplants now. So
Now
I need to know.
no, the original question was definitely women, but that is something that I'm open to getting into as well, is like if you want my opinion on men, um yeah, I think it's wild. Now, because I feel like it getting plastic surgery at this point, because women have done it for so long, or like even getting hair transplant or doing these things to change your body, unless there's like a medical reason to do so, um, it's more of a feminine trait in my opinion. And so like
Mm,
I'm I'm opposed to that as well. I just think like if you're a man losing your hair, just go bald and rock it and be confident. Like
bald is in. I think bald with a beard is in.
right.
Like
Like
it's a vibe.
now it is tough if you're bald and you don't have a beard because you're not going to be as attractive. I mean, I'm just
Oh,
keeping it a buck. If you're bald and you don't have a beard,
dang.
now that is going to be tough, but you, in my opinion, you just kind of got to accept it. I promise you, you're going to look better bald than balding. Yeah. So that's my take on that. What is your take on men getting their hair
You know,
done or doing plastic surgery?
yeah, no, I feel like the same applies to men too, because if it's something that just have been bothering you your whole life. And for some people, it's literally like a life-changing experience
Right.
to, get rid of a nose that they didn't like or to, enhance your body in different ways. I think we're our worst critics. So if it's something that makes you happy, I think it's okay in moderation. And like I said, if it's something that you've been sitting on for a very, very long time, my same ideology goes with tattoos too, shouldn't just be something that you want to get just because it's cool right now, but if it really is going to change your life and change how you feel, and I'm a big advocate for like if you feel good on the inside, you're going to radiate that on the outside as well. So,
No, that
yeah.
is facts. Like look good, feel good, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So, I would say to piggyback off of that, do you feel like people get plastic surgery to appease self or to appease others?
I think it's different for everyone because there are like I'm sure we've all seen an episode or two of a botched plastic surgery experience, and some people are literally just doing it
Boy,
because,
yeah.
you know, their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend used to make them insecure about this specific feature.
hmm
And other people are like, no, I don't care what anybody says. Like, I've been wanting an ass since I was 20 and I'm gonna get one. So I think it's different for everyone. I know the people that I know that have gotten work done, one, you can't tell, so I think that's really cool. And two, I think it's been driven from a self-insecurity standpoint versus like, oh, I'm gonna do this because this is what's in right
Right,
now, or this is what my boyfriend wants. Like, I don't think I would hope that you don't go as far as to cutting your body and putting yourself at risk because
right.
of what somebody thinks about you.
Hmm.
So,
Okay, so no, we're diving into this. So look, so no, because I got another I thought of another question. So do
mhm.
you feel since plastic surgery has been something women engage in and not as many men, well, I would say the numbers are probably significant on the woman's side. Um, do you feel like it would be safe to say women have less self-love than men?
I don't know if it's a self-love thing or if it is just since the beginning of time, women have always been under this scrutiny of like being beautiful, being pretty, being, perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, you know, unfortunately for men, we're not as tough on you guys about that as physical appearances for women. So I
Hold on, say that you said you guys are not as tough on men?
Yeah, I feel like we as a society are not as tough on men for like physical appearance as women. You look puzzled.
Yeah, because I think I think that one is 50-50. I think
Really?
yeah, like I think I honestly think women are a lot more harsh um towards men than men are to women when it comes to their appearance because we try to coddle feelings like not every
Have you
man.
not seen like you've heard of the term medium ugly, right?
hmm
Do you think guys are gonna go for medium ugly women?
Yeah.
No, no.
hmm
I've never heard that before.
Well, it's like this. I would say medium ugly, you're talking about like a 6 or 7, right? If we were just putting it on a scale of 10, or you
Yeah, I would say 6 or 7 is fair.
okay, so me personally, I'll just go off me personally and the people I know, guys I know, like, because we've actually had this conversation. When you look at a lot of nines, tens, even eights, right?
Hmm.
They have such a massive amount of options and people hopping in their DMs and they get so much attention from different guys um that I feel like there's a way higher chance for them to potentially be persuaded and fall into temptation because they have so many more options available and they have so many more attractive men, possibly even high value men, blowing them up versus your medium ugly woman. She's still gonna have some men hitting her up, but it's not gonna be at the same capacity as a pretty woman. And we're, as far as like the conversations I've had with other men, it's like I'd rather have an average looking girl that um has good values and morals, and she's not gonna sway to temptation as easily as this baddie that has a high potential for a rich man to pull up like, yo, I got 10 bands for you, you know what I'm saying, if you let me take you out, or this is that and the
Well, to your point, you mentioned giving up
third.
morals, and I think, hold on, let me get this tomato down.
Chew, chew.
Okay, so you mentioned morals.
Hmm.
I don't think just because you're a seven that your morals are better than someone who's a 10.
Correct. That might have
There's some
not been.
shady, fucked up sevens,
You are
and
right. I
they'll run
agree.
off at the sight of like, oh, this high value man, he's appealing. I'm gonna leave what I have at home and go and try to, see if the grass is greener on the other side. There are some beautiful women who have their morals, they have, integrity, all the different things, and they're loyal. They're very loyal. So I think if some men are steering away from tens because they're worried about what a ten's morals are, I don't think they're giving a 10 a fair shot. Because you could be a 10 and you could be, we're talking about what you
it
look like on the outside. I'm not even going to say, that she cooks and cleans and does all the things. We're just talking about appearance right now and morals and
so
running
I
off at,
don't I don't feel it's
the
that
first thing that you see.
we're shying, so not that we're shying away from nines or tens,
Or
right?
not giving the 10 a fair chance.
I no, not even give a 10 a fair chance. I just think when we were just talking about from a standpoint of would you mind dating a average looking girl? Because if there was a nine and I was interested in her, and she had a good personality, things I was looking for, then I'm gonna give her the same chance that I would the seven. I'm just saying, like, if a seven came along, I'm not gonna just be like, hey, I'm not gonna talk to you because you're not a nine or a ten. But even
Right.
from a standpoint of in our head, we're like, also she's probably likely less likely to do certain other things, because I also feel like women that are nines and tens feel entitled. Like a lot of them, in a sense of, I know I'm pretty, I know this, so like I should be getting this, I should be getting that. I like the man should be doing this for me. I basically shouldn't have to lift a fingernail.
But you run into the issues with your sevens and fours, even
Well, I would
that
never talk to a
they've
four, but
never, but no, like maybe maybe the average 4 to 7 is not used to attention from
hmm.
men, right? So let's say the high value man comes along. Don't you think she's more likely to go because she's like just so infatuated with the
Well,
fact that someone's even paying attention to
I
her?
would say if she understands herself and she understands um like where she's at on the scale, she should in her head, and maybe that's just me using logic, but hey, if I don't get a lot of these like nine or ten type of men, or like super high value with a lot of money because they probably have a lot more prettier options, um, I shouldn't sway to like a man flinging money in my face, or um
No, man,
op
if anything, I think no different than if we're seeking a job that we're not qualified for, but it
right.
pays well and it has all the benefits and all the different things. If you're used to making, and I'm using money as an example because I'm putting it in the same category as like a perk, right? So let's say you're used to making 30,000 a year and it's a shitty job, you hate it, it's not fun, you got to deal with, the shitty side of customer service and all the different things. But this job opportunity presents itself and it's like, hey, we'll pay you 250,000 a year. Your work culture is 10 out of 10. You get all this vacation time, you get to make your own schedule, whatever, right? Like everything just looks
Okay,
right.
that.
That person who's used to making that 30,000 is going to be like, "Man, I'm going over
But
here to
in
make that
that type of sit, so
250. Who are
I
you
was
playing
more,
with?"
I was more so talking
You know?
about, I was more, I was more so
Versus
talking.
the person who's used to making
Time,
200,000 a year, that 250 is not going to be so appeasing.
time out.
So,
I was more so talking in the lines of like, if we're using like per se job as an analogy, right? If a
just
woman,
something that looks
right?
better is more
If
appealing.
well, if a woman was working a job making 40K a year, right?
Hmm.
And something came along the line, but the 40K that she's making per year, she's been there, she knows it's stable, she's in like a good position at the job, but it's not the most high paying. It's just like an average salary job. But there's a position that comes along that's like 70K, but she knows she's not qualified for it, and there's a high probability that she's going to lose that job. She doesn't meet certain criterias. Okay, let's say she lies on her resume or she puts out an image that's not necessarily um who she actually is, or like qualifications she doesn't actually have. Or per se, maybe the person looking to hire her is looking to hire her for sexual favor. Or I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. Like if she was,
Excuse me.
and I'm not saying I'm talking about a seven here. Somebody he knows that
Okay.
might be low key enough to where if he a CEO of a company or something, or somebody in management is like, oh, like I can mess around with this girl and nothing's gonna be said about it, and she's not gonna feel entitled enough, like I'm a 9, 10, or I'm about to go doing the most. And I'm just saying, if she got that job, she would, well, if she took the job, do you think she would at least have it in her head like, hey, this may not work out. I don't have certain qualifications. I don't have
No, because
this and that.
she's never got her feet wet before. So she's going to want to get her feet wet and experience that because it's a new experience. It's something that it's probably a once in a lifetime opportunity,
Okay, well that's
big
different.
break, if you will.
That's different from men then, because like a man is gonna be like, if I take this and I lose, now I don't have anything. Now I don't have shit. So I just jumped on trying to make 70K and I held that job for 3 months, but now I lost the job and I don't even have 40K a year.
I think what it boils down to when we're talking about the subject of women and, are they going to jump just because a man says jump,
Mm-hmm.
outside of their relationship? It comes down to like who they are as a person
Mm-hmm.
and what relationship they're in, if it's where they want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And, back to the whole subject of morals and, integrity, I guess, or dignity. You can have a 10 who has good morals and she's loyal. You can also have a 10 who has been exposed to getting whatever she wants and she uses that to her advantage in a sick way.
The
You
difference
also
is
have
temptation.
sevens. Yes, but like I said, I don't care if you're a 10 or if you're a 7 or if you're a 4. Women get sought after, period. It don't matter. So temptation is around women all the time, but I think women are wired a little bit differently than men, to not just jump at every penis that flings their way because like men struggle to get laid more than women, bottom line.
Yeah, because
Like
we're the sales rep and you guys are the customer. I know at the end of the day, for me, it's women get, like women that are 9s and 10s have a lot more temptation thrown their way, and I would say viable temptation. and like
Viable temptation is fair
and so
because sevens get temptation too.
right. And so looking at it from that aspect, you have to also start thinking like a lot of people have a crack point. There can be loyal people, there can be people with integrity, but to what level? Like there's a lot of women that people think are loyal and have integrity, maybe have never done this until the right man comes around with enough money or like a valuable enough
It
job
doesn't even have to be
position.
money. It
Right,
doesn't
or
even have to be enough money or a job position. A guy can just be funny because their man at home is just an angry, grumpy person.
right,
So now you got a funny person on the outside. He done laughed his way into her pants.
right.
Like that can happen to a seven, you know?
But yeah, that's my thought process on that. Um, so I mean, we can go ahead and go into the next question though, which I also think is a good one. Do you think men prefer natural women versus fake women?
I would say, obviously, every man has a different taste because I actually have a male friend, bless his soul. He loves outrageous BBLs and he
What?
loves outrageous, like plumped up, fillerized lips.
What?
Okay. That's his jam. That's his jam. That's his jam. That's his jam. But that's only one male that I know like that. The rest of the
Right, so
males
it's
that
an
I know
outlier.
prefer, mhm, the rest of the men that I know within my circle, they prefer women who look natural, right? Now, whether they are or not, that's a whole nother thing. But with that, I feel like men like they don't want the girls with like the long nails with all the diamond studded gems and beads on them, right?
Hmm.
I think men like things just not super obnoxious, not super noticeable, but has good harmony, if that makes sense. So if you are a girl who has fake things, like maybe you have some hair extensions, but if they look good and they look natural, I think a man is like, okay, cool, like I can rock with that. If you have your boobs done, as long as they're not like bursting off of your chest and drawing
Falling
the
off the
most
bone.
obnoxious attention, then same deal. I think a man, wouldn't mind a boob job. He's not gonna like write a chick off just because, maybe she has some hair extensions, she has boobs done and some nails that are undetectable. So I think men, they overall they prefer a natural look, but I don't think they'll write off a girl because she's not 100% natural, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. So I'm trying to think of not just mine because I know I've had this discussion with men. Um, I would say this. It's very rare that I talk to any man that likes a woman, a fake woman, in that regard, somebody that has
Mm-hmm.
had work done. Men,
Hmm.
from my experience, including myself, prefer natural women, like natural face, like even natural hair. Even if the hair like isn't like maybe like your typical straight luscious hair, like we still prefer it to be natural versus you going to get your hair done and having extensions or wearing a wig or like all of these things. So,
Side note, my opinion, nobody asked for it. I hate wigs. I hate them. But anyways, go ahead.
so I would also say like women have this ideal, right? That men like BBLs, like they want something with a big butt so bad or this. Now, right, granted, like men, a lot of men do like that, but I would say majority of guys I talk to, um, they prefer to be with somebody that is more petite. And um that's just from the discussions that I
What
had.
is
I'm
a
not
petite stature?
like you can still have a little booty on you or whatever, but like I'm saying like you're more slim. You don't necessarily have like these double D's or like you more maybe have like a B cup. You're slim and have a nice little round booty, but nothing like outrageous. I would say that would be more I,
Why?
huh?
Why is that more ideal? Like just aesthetically?
No, I'm saying more guys like that ideal, not just me, just from the
Hmm.
discussions that I've had with men. And I think so
But why though? Is it just because it's nice to look at? Or
well, I think from a perspective of like look at it like this. Well, this is from the discussions I should have had actually that would have been a fun conversation, but maybe for some time in the future, but even when it comes to like being in the bedroom, right? With as far as with your partner, the ideal of having like this thick girl, right, that has this big old booty and these big boobs and all of this is nice and it's fun, right? Sometimes, but most men don't want to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, right? Like if it's talking about we're talking about longevity here, a serious relationship. The reason being, and this is from the discussions I've had, right? So it's not like I can only go based on who I've talked to about it.
Mhm.
And it's more so like, okay, it's a lot more work, like moving a big girl around all the time in the bedroom and like maneuvering and like doing different
Are
positions.
you talking about a big like a BBW, or are
I'm
you talking
talking about
about
you got to
like,
understand like these girls
maybe
that are
a
thick, like and I'm not they can even be like for instance, even like a Cardi B or like a Nicki Minaj, right?
Mhm.
Do you know how much do you think they weigh? Because I can tell you, because I'm pretty confident in how much they weigh.
How tall is Cardi B?
I believe she's probably like 5'5", 5'6". I
I
would.
say like, yeah, maybe like 5'6", maybe even 5'7". She she
I
looks a
don't think
little
she's five. I think she's like 5'6".
5'6". Okay, so she's 5'6". I would guess that she is 170, 180.
Yeah, like I got, I guess like 175. Think about this from a man perspective though. That's like going to the gym. Like you're moving that type of weight around. Like if you wanted to like do like things that were less boring, like pick your girl up and do all this, like you're getting a full-time workout with women that size, right? And that's just the reality of it. Like it's
What's the petite woman size
I would
weight
say like
wise?
I would say like 140 and under, depending on your height. Because if you're
Right,
like
right. Well,
4'10",
let's talk about a 5'6" stature,
right?
weight
I
wise.
would
You feel
probably,
like 140 or under.
hmm
Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's just 30 pounds more.
right. So this is what an exercise I want you to attempt, just with a just on maybe a goofy day with a friend. Lift one of your female friends up that's close to your body weight and just move around and hold them in the air and it's not like I feel like women think that like oh no you are heavy and and I'm looking at it from a perspective of like it's not that you can't do it, right? It's not I'm not saying that guys can't. It's just men in from my experience like, oh, that's fun to mess around with like a couple times or every now and then, but like on a day-to-day basis, I'd rather have a petite girl I could just throw around with ease and it doesn't feel like a workout every time we have sex.
So, from a sexual fetish standpoint, a petite woman
I
is
wouldn't say a
ideal.
fetish. I wouldn't say a fetish. You just don't. I don't think that's a fetish. That you don't want to feel like you're having a full workout every time you sleep with somebody. I don't think that's a fetish.
Lazy?
uh, well, depends on the woman's sex. It depends on the woman's sex drive. You got to also think, like, what if these men are also going to the gym on a regular basis? You want to also come home every time and have a whole second workout?
I mean, I can't speak to that, but I think, different strokes for different folks,
Right.
I don't know. I haven't tried to throw somebody around. in the bedroom, so I can't really speak on that.
And mind you, I'm not saying it's a problem like far as guys can't do it, and it's just if you're comparing what they would prefer, not that it's gonna become such an issue they won't date a thick woman, right? I'm just saying if
Hmm.
most guys had a
I was gonna say, because
preference.
they're dating,
Right,
like
no,
they're
that's not what I'm
in
saying. I'm
relationships.
saying a preference. Like even guys that I know that are with thick women, they literally be like, well, I love my girl, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'd break up with her, but like if I had an initial preference, right, it would be this girl and this is why.
Mm,
And so that's just from the guys I've spoke to
gotcha.
regarding that.
Well, I would say it's safe to say that men prefer what looks natural because y'all don't know. There's a lot y'all don't know. You'll see something and be like, oh my God, like she's just her hair and her body and blah, blah. Girls are getting a lot of undetectable things done. So I will say you guys will go for what appears to be natural,
Hmm.
believable. But if it's not, y'all don't care.
To an extent, it depends. Because like if now you don't even have to
So
have a
would you cut a girl off if, let's say you guys are dating? Because I know if it were me, and let's say I had XYZ procedures done,
right,
if I was dating somebody and I wasn't in a serious relationship, I'm not just going to come out and say it, you know what I mean? Because that's my personal business,
right.
right? But as the relationship were to grow and, we get to discover each other a little bit more, that'll be some information that I would reveal later on down the line. And let's say one of those things are I've had a nose job. Let's say that. I haven't, but
Right.
let's say I tell my partner that I've had a nose job, but you couldn't tell. You didn't know. Nobody knew. Is that something that's like fair to cut somebody off for? Or is that like, oh, it's not natural? That's not your real nose, so like I gotta get out of here?
No, I don't think it's. I think you did kind of hit it on the nose when it comes to if it doesn't look natural, um, or like we can definitely tell, or we're already like on the verge, like, I don't think that's real. Then it's like if you're
Yeah.
somebody that prefers natural, you're probably not going to lean towards anything serious because you may not be fully attracted to that person enough to where you're like,
Okay,
oh.
so yeah, so it's not easy on your eyes.
Right, it's not as easy. It might be like, oh, you know what? It's not bad enough to where I can't mess around with this girl or I can't talk to her, like,
Mm-hmm.
but like to be in a serious relationship with her, and I don't know if I want to like that to be my long-term partner.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I can also say, like, if you're one of those girls, it don't even have to be obnoxiously, like a obnoxiously big butt that you had done. It could be one of them BBLs that they do, and then their thighs don't match their ass.
Which is the majority of them, because
And
they still
so
have not figured out how
and
to make that
so
surgery undetectable.
when I see that, right, I don't think
Actually, I'm sorry. I take that back. They have figured out how to make BBLs undetectable. It's called a skinny BBL, but subject for another day. That's not
but
what a lot of the women are getting.
yeah, because when I see it,
So,
I don't think women understand how unattractive that is. Like, how is your
yeah.
thighs look like and it
Yeah.
makes
No,
you
and
look like
I
an ant.
think I think some women also they may feel because you can feel when people are looking at you, right?
Hmm.
So they may feel like they're getting this attention in public and they might think that, oh, I'm thriving off this attention. People are looking at me. They find me attractive and whatever. I'm not gonna lie, like I've looked at BBLs in public because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like, why would you do that to yourself? I'm
Hmm.
not looking at it in an admirable way. Um, and I'm not like I just don't understand because I feel like majority of the BBLs I've seen, I have not been sold on it. Like I look at that like, why did you ruin your body?
Yeah, that's the same way.
And back to your original question about plastic surgery in women, like I'm all for it if it looks natural, I guess. If it looks natural
But
and it's
here's the
not
thing, don't you
obnoxious.
but think about that. You're all for it if it looks natural. You can't control. You're leaving your hands in a doctor's hand. I don't care how good he is.
No,
Nobody's
no, you
perfect.
no, you can aim for natural results with a surgeon.
Aim
This
for,
goes for,
but does that mean that
yeah,
he's
you can
he's gonna always get 100% effectiveness on everything he does?
maybe, maybe not, but I feel like there's a good portion of surgeons, and if you do your research on who you go to and look at their before and after work, you can tell if they produce natural results or not. Um, I'm just gonna use boob jobs and nose jobs for examples. Like, I mean, shit, we've all seen some shitty nose jobs. That's like, yeah, you got that done, and why?
You got that.
We've seen boob jobs that are like, oh my gosh, like why? But there's also probably way more nose jobs and way more boob jobs that we can't even tell have been done, you
Right.
know? But I think when you aim for a natural result, you go in for your consultation, let's say boobs, for example. You go in and, you tell your doctor, I want what's proportioned to me.
Mm-hmm.
They do their measurements, they drop whatever that they need to put in you. Cool. Same with the nose job. I don't want like this crazy slope and whatever it is that's trending right now. Just shave off whatever
Oh,
and, don't do all this Michael Jackson nonsense. Just get rid of what I'm insecure about. And for most people, it's like that little hump on the top of their nose. So, yeah.
okay. So we'll jump into the next question, which is, what is your take on white women who get braids?
Yeah. So, my opinion is probably not going to be one that's common in the Black community. And that is, I feel like white women can wear braids. I think we and we're not, but I would like for us to get to a point where we all can express ourselves and it doesn't have to be somebody stealing culture and stealing this and doing that. If you look good with and I'm not gonna lie, I've seen some white girls that, they pull off braids and they look good, you know. Um, I've also seen some white girls where I'm like, maybe that's not your style. Maybe you should just stick to that, like, you know, uh fucking 16, 18-inch with your highlights and call it a day. I've seen black women who look amazing with platinum bone straight hair, platinum blonde bone straight hair. I've seen some black women who do not, like me personally, like I've tried bleach blonde before. Does not work for me at all. I will never wear it again. Um, so yeah, I think should just like the subject on plastic surgery, if it looks nice, why not? But if it's tacky and it's distasteful, I think you should stay away from it. So,
So I'll give my take on it. I think, well, which it aligns pretty much with what you're saying. Like I personally don't mind it. I actually think it's great that whether it be white women or even if we're just talking about different races wearing braids, like um, Asian women or Hispanic even. Like if they're adopting our culture, which like should be a good thing in my opinion. Just as like we take some of the things that white women wear for, and I'm speaking on black women, and they're utilizing, they want to give the image of a white woman's hair. And it's like, I mean, if we're trying to preach like we want we want black people and white people to intertwine and be one, and why would it be a problem if we're taking on each other's cultures, right? I don't think
mhm,
that should ever be a problem. Now,
yeah.
um,
Because is it an issue if a white girl is cooking up some Cajun and, you
right, like,
know, soul food meals?
and I dang
Nobody
near
says
feel
anything
like
about that, but if she wears braids, it's an
I would even
issue.
go to an extent to say that it's almost racist. And only,
So I no, I agree with you on well, I don't know if
well,
that is
not
particularly
maybe
racist, but
go ahead, my bad.
No, I was going to say there's a lot of subjects within the Black community that I don't think Black people are ready to admit have very hypocritical standards when it comes to other races. Because if they said what our community says, all hell will break loose,
Right.
you know? And I
Yeah.
feel like if we really want this, equality and welcoming of different people and who we are, we should be able to share that. And it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be tearing down the next race because they want to try something that we practice in our culture, you know?
So, since both of us kind of agree in that aspect that it shouldn't be a problem, I'll ask it like this. Why do you feel like a lot of black people damn near feel disrespected from white people taking on like our culture hairstyle?
I think it's because our culture is not used to getting credit.
Okay.
And so because of that, I feel like we just want acknowledgement for what came from us. And I think that's what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Okay. I would say, I would dang near, I would go to the extent of, I would go to the extent, no, I don't want to throw that out there, um, but, because I almost want to say envious, but,
What, Black people are envious of white people?
yeah, like in certain ways because of like the things that they're provided in life to help them like move forward. Like obviously the black community is not given all of the same tools as like white people, so like they feel some type of way like when just off of other things, doesn't even really have to do with hair. They already feel some type of way about other things, so when they see a white person, now dang, y'all got all this other stuff, now you're taking our hairstyle. So I think it comes from something deeper in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say this too. I think I think our people have also a very, very, very deep resentment for the white man.
Oh.
So anything that they may do that could be just a little bit wrong or a little bit inappropriate, we will blow it up to a bigger problem than probably what it needs to be,
Now you
you
said the
know?
white man. Are you talking about, or did you mean
Like
both
white people in
white
general.
people? Okay, got you.
Yeah. Um, but I do think there are some issues that are fair for us to speak on
Right.
and problems that have not been resolved and they do need attention and those things still are being swept under the rug, as you know. But yeah, I that's a good subject for another day.
Okay.
Just on that.
Yeah, yeah, no, we don't have to like get into the whole race war thing. Um,
Yeah.
but
No, it
I
gets
think,
heavy. It gets heavy.
yeah, so I think, yeah, I think we can at least say that there could be some deeper reasoning behind, and it's not just like about hair. I think it comes from
Yeah.
a deeper level. But so, do you think it's any different when black women wear white women's hairstyles, like, and also the way that white women perceive or look at a black woman for like trying to imitate their culture?
Same thing. I feel like when it comes to style and expressing yourself, because me personally, I don't make it about race. Like, oh, I'm not gonna wear this blonde hair because that's what white women do. Like, that's what white women are known
Mm-hmm.
for. Although there are some black people who are naturally born with blonde hair. But I mean, for the most part, we know that it's a white people trait, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna wear anything, clothes, hair, whatever, that I feel like does not suit me.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to Black women wearing white people hairstyles. I mean, shit, we can call this a white girl hairstyle, you know? Um, I feel like if it looks good on me, I can wear it. If it looks good on them, they should be able to wear it. It's such a stupid thing
Hell, if it
that
looks ugly on you, you
our
should be able
group
to
of
wear it.
people, I mean, honestly, yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah, like
seriously, you should, like, if it's, that's funny. Um, but yeah, just it's
so
such a stupid issue in my opinion, because why are we getting mad about how you're wearing your fucking hair?
facts. So what I wanted you to
Like
elaborate
we have
on,
bigger issues to fry.
man, talk to him. But what I wanted you to expound on was, do you think the white people like you look at it in the same way, like they're having the same issues, like when they black people can't a lot of black people can't stand when white people wear like black hairstyles. Do you feel like white people feel the same way when they look at black people, like why are you wearing all like
I'm I'm not sure. And you know what? Thinking about it now, gosh, and I'm just now realizing this. I don't have enough white friends around me where this discussion comes up. Because I'm really trying to think of like, okay, what conversations that I've had, like, have I gotten a perspective of it? And I don't. I don't have an answer for that. If I had to assume, I don't think it comes up in there at their tables. I
it's
really don't.
it is funny that you say that. I laughed not because it's because I you made me think about it. I'm like, I think I literally only have one white friend.
Yeah.
And it's not like
And
it's not
I
in
didn't do it
yeah,
on
it's not
purpose.
intentional,
Like,
right? But I was like, yeah, dang, I really yeah, I think I have one white friend. It's not to say I don't have
yeah.
acquaintances or white people I'm cool with. I'm just saying people I consider a friend.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't know. I'm actually going to an event next weekend. There will be a lot of white women there. I'll actually ask them. So we'll
oh,
see.
yeah, that would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. So we can
Um,
follow up on this subject.
for sure. So the next question I have, this is a good one. Do you do you feel women are more self-aware than men?
Okay, and your definition of self-aware meaning like give me some
Hold
examples
on,
of
move your hand.
what you think.
Move your hand. Yeah, I could tell you had AirPods in because when you put your hand up there, your voice was starting to be muffled.
Oh, my bad. But no, I was asking like what exactly do you mean by self-aware? Just so I know how to answer that
So
question a little
just from
bit
a
better,
general
because that's such a
perspective,
broad
because
subject.
right, so when you're like self-aware, like I mean, if you go look up the definition, I can't remember like all of the points, but there's several things, and I'm just speaking on like a general perspective. Like if you're like are you self-aware in the way you look, in the way you think? Are you self-aware like with the fact of when you're wrong, like you can acknowledge that and um things like that. Like just generally speaking, are women more self-aware than men?
I think, oh, that's tough to say because I really do think both genders are, one's not more self-aware than the other. Because I've met some men that are very, very in tune and very self-aware. Vice versa. I've also like I've met men who are so out of touch with reality. It's, it's concerning. I've also met women who are, very sound individuals or very self-aware, and I've also met a lot of women who are not. So I don't know if it's a gender thing. I think it's more so like what you experience in life
Right,
and how you apply
okay.
your wisdom.
So for
But
for me,
it's hard.
yeah. I so I thought about this question for a while and I'm trying to not because obviously like you said we each have our own personal experiences but for
Mhm.
me I I just feel like in most cases women are not as self-aware as men. Like men, I feel like it's a lot harder for a woman to like be aware like hey, like I was like looking back like okay, I was wrong about this. Like Um, or maybe um I need to start going to the gym more, and instead they'll be like, "Oh, I'm thick. I'm thick. I need like I'm a bad bee," but they're like 240 pounds and like, you know what I'm saying, average looking in the face. But like as far as men, we're able to be like, we need to like, no, we're fat right now. We need to get in the gym. We're not all no like I'm I'm big, I'm stocky. I'm no, like we're gonna like women, I feel like are less likely to admit when they're wrong or admit flaws in themselves.
I don't know. I think that depends on like the group of people that you surround yourself with because I like I said, from my perspective, different men and women in my lives, I can't say one is more
Right.
dominant in that field than the other.
No, you're right. That's why I feel like it was a good topic because it's not like just because I think that that means that's true. That's just my opinion. And then
Yeah. So I
it's
met some like unhinged men that are just like so delusional.
me
And
too.
I met some very delusional women also. So
I
I don't
only
know.
ga I
I
only
just think it
gauged
depends on
it.
your upbringing and your experiences in life
Yeah, yeah. No, you
and how much you're held accountable for throughout your life. Because the more constructive criticism you receive and the more times you are put into a corner to have to better yourself, evolve, and change, I think those are the things that make an
but
individual more
also
self-aware.
but also women are coddled more than men. So I feel like
Where
just with their with how they feel like it's also not it's looked at as negative like when you're being honest to a woman like hey like you're fat or hey like you're not right about like when I guess when you're trying to keep it 100 you're trying to be straightforward you're trying to with women like a lot of women take offense to that and also like if you were to have a discussion with a woman depending on what you say, you have to be very careful with like your wording and stuff like this. Whereas with a man, you can just keep it all the way 100 and just be like, yeah, like bro, you're doing this and that. You're fat or you're the like, and it's not near the problem that it would be if you were speaking to a woman about things she needed to work on or stuff that she was wrong
I think
about.
that's different. No, I do not. I wouldn't agree with that because I've been in management positions at work where I've
Hmm.
had to tell people, like, hey, your work performance has been, for lack of better terms, you haven't been on your A game, and this is what you need to do to fix it. And I've gotten rebuttals from men who literally think they're doing the best job. I've gotten rebuttals from women who, they think they're doing a good job also. However, I did experience with women in the work field that, they'll nod and say, okay, I can work on this, but then they'll go and they'll talk shit to everybody else and be like, I can't believe I got called into office for XYZ. And like men will argue with me while I'm talking to them about what they need to work on. So, um, I I don't know. I would have to say that that's really a 50-50 thing and different per individual. Some people
Okay.
they're in denial with who they are. So if you tell them anything's wrong about them, then they're gonna fight it no matter what.
And so you
And
feel
I don't think that's male versus women. Or yeah, I don't think that's male versus female.
so you feel like there's no difference like even from an aspect of so I can just ask you an additional question to piggyback like who is more likely to admit their flaws in your opinion, a man or a woman? And I know that piggybacks kind of on what we were talking about, but like even from that aspect, like do you feel women are openly ready and willing to acknowledge their flaws and or things they need to work on um over men, or do you still feel like that's equal?
I I I cannot say that it's a man or woman thing. I would say
Okay.
a mature individual
Okay.
is willing to admit their flaws. Um, but I really don't think it has anything to do with man versus woman,
So
from my
you said a
experience
mature
at least.
individual. Who do you think's
Hmm.
more mature, men or women? Generally speaking.
I mean, they say the women's frontal lobe develops faster than men's, but um no, I still think that I can't say one gender is more self-aware than the other.
Okay. Um, so I think why I think what makes it a little bit tougher for me is more so because I feel like women
Time out. What jersey are you wearing?
Michael Vick, the
Anyways,
old school jersey,
continue.
Mike Vick.
Continue.
But so I feel like
I,
go ahead.
my bad. No, I was gonna say I thought it was a Chiefs jersey. I was like,
Oh, I can't stand the
ew.
Chiefs. I cannot stand the Chiefs. We're not even gonna get into that because yeah, I'm a Chargers fan and we do not rock with the Chiefs.
Very understood.
But
Very much understood.
anywho, um, women are more emotional creatures, and a lot of the times, I would say more so in my opinion, in women rather than men, they have more emotional responses when it comes to things like a lot of their um a lot of their initial reaction to different things comes from an emotional place. And even if we look at it from a statistical standpoint, women have way higher levels of estrogen than men, which creates emotion. So it makes sense even from a biology standpoint. A woman is just more of an emotional creature. So like it makes more sense to me why a woman would not be as self-aware as a man because they're more emotional. That's my opinion on that. But would you say that women are more emotional than men?
I think so, yeah. But I don't think that they're less self-aware than men, or that men are
Right.
less self-aware than women.
Okay. So we will go ahead and hop into the next question then. So, do women have more opportunities than men to make money?
So this subject is
Stop
fun.
smiling.
No, because I when I think about that question, obviously I think about, okay, what jobs are available to women that are not available to men, right? That's the
Okay.
first one. And then the second one is pay,
Mhm.
because obviously we know, like in corporate America, men get paid more than women, no
Mhm.
question. So to answer that question, I think it's fair to say that women have more opportunities to make, whoa, I'm back.
Technical difficulty.
But yeah, women have more opportunities to make fast money.
Mm,
I think men have more opportunities to build careers that pay more.
mm. Talk to him. I actually really like that. I like that response. I didn't even look at
Yeah,
it from that aspect. That actually kind of changes how I want to answer that. Yeah.
yeah. I
I,
mean, when you think about a young woman, shit, it can even start at 16, right? So I worked at Hooters when I was 18, and we had hostesses that were 16 in the
mhm.
same Hooters uniform.
Mhm.
Obviously, you get hired there if they think you're cute. So we know Hooters is like an industry where you make your money from tips. Um, Theoretically speaking, the better you look and the more fun personality that you have, the more money that you're going to make there. But you don't build a career out of working at Hooters unless you get into like the management side of things and work your way up like the corporate ladder on that side. But as far as being on site, being a waitress, bartender, whatever, um, you have that opportunity to make a lot of money at a young age. But you can't do that when you're 40, 50, 60. So
Depends.
you gotta shift gears.
I wouldn't say if 50 is getting rare, but 40, there's a lot of baddies that are 40s in that like I'd say they could still utilize.
Well, looks fade. is what I'm getting to. And if your income relies on your looks change. But if we switch gears and go to the corporate side of things, men have more opportunities, obviously, to make more money in the same position that a woman is in. They're given the opportunities for promotions, they're given more leadership roles than women. And that's, it's always been that way since women have been able to work. So, yeah, I think long term, men are set up for success in that way. But getting on your feet, getting started, women can really take advantage of making the fast money if they apply it to, paying for school or, just getting ahead, then it works out. But if you're a woman who just like stays in that industry and mindset of, oh, I'm cute, I can get a job here real quick, make this money, and okay, and then what?
Hmm. So I actually agree with pretty much everything you said. I just wanted to expound on one thing that I think where is slightly different. Maybe you agree with it. So I do think women have the opportunity to make per se fast money um way higher clip than men. Not only just
Hmm.
you brought up like working at like Hooters or Twin Peaks, there's like the strip club, there's OnlyFans, all of these things. Yes, can a man work there and be a manager or a bartender, but it's like majority of that is geared towards women. Or can
Right.
like I would say so from that aspect, yes, like the fast money, 100% women, and but even if you're looking at it like you said, from entry level, right, even in the corporate world,
Hmm.
I feel like women are more likely to get hired for entry level things to get into the door of a company over a man, but a man has a higher probability to promote and get to a
Of
higher
climbing the
level.
ladder.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I only speak on that because when both jobs I was a manager at, when I tell you, and now this is actually messed up. So I want to let everybody know, like when this happened, I was like 22, 23 years old. So let's get that clear. I'm now 33. So not the same person, but
Sorry.
at the call center I worked at, we literally like and it started with my manager who I became close friends with. When we started becoming friends, which was literally like a couple months in, we started hanging out outside of work, like playing games, having some drinks or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
then when the hiring process would start at the job, like once I got really good at it, it was a sales job. And when I got really good at it, um, and they were trying to like move me up to being a trainer, then he started incorporating me into the hiring process. It did not matter what the fuck you did. All it mattered is who we wanted to fuck. That was it. That was the hiring process. Who we wanted to fuck. Just like there,
That's so
there was
disgusting.
it is. I like that's why I said I wanted to let everybody know how old I was. But it would literally be we would bring like people would come apply, and just so it wouldn't like ping up to like HR or like go above our head, we still would give interviews to guys, right? But they never had a chance. Don't matter how qualified you are, you never had a chance. It would come down to he would always bring the guys he'd sit with whatever when he would bring them through the interview process just because we had to have some guys interview and he'd sit them with
Sure.
whatever. But any of the females that interviewed always sat with me on the calls so that I can get a vibe. Like I was like, oh, like it's a cute girl. Like, is she somebody who's like stuck up or is she like good personality? So once we got done, they'd get done interviewing, my manager like and me would have a talk outside of work like, yo, which one of these chicks should we hire? And we'd be like, no, she bet. He'd be like, all right, bro, like I got the last one, like, so I'll let you choose this one. Like, who are you fucking with, or who you? We would pick. That's how we would choose people to employ. So I'm speaking from a experience standpoint of like I did it, and not just me. My manager above me did it. That was one job. The next job I worked at, um, and mind you, at that job I worked there for 2.5 years, and we only hired one guy the whole 2.5 years. And so a lot of people, some people retain their jobs as guys that were already there or whatnot, or other managers might hire them on different shifts or whatever. But
Mhm.
at the other job that I worked at, I also became cool with multiple of the team leads. Multiple. We were like there were like three or four who were really cool. They'd, smoke after work. I don't smoke, but they did, and I chill with them. We'd have drinks, play fantasy football together, all this stuff, but go play basketball. Um, it was the same, it got to the same situation eventually. They were already doing it prior to me even getting in that circle. They were already doing it. So like they were a little bit more, oh, like we need to every now and then hire a guy, but for the most part, like a good looking woman trumped everybody, no matter what. A good looking girl trumped everybody, and you had the first chance, like you were hired. And the difference is all of these women never moved up, right? It was always men that moved up, but like to answer that question, in my opinion, if we're looking at it from a totality standpoint, um women have more opportunity to make fast money, and in my opinion have more opportunity to get in the door at a company. Not move up, but to get in the door. So I personally think women have more opportunity to make money than men. Also, not
We'll
to
say this, more women have more opportunity to get employed.
right.
Men more have more opportunity to
That's the perfect way to say
make
it.
an amazing amount of
To make a
money,
career, a good
as
career.
long as and make a career, right?
Right. I would say a good career should entitle good money. So yeah, women
Hmm.
have the ability to get in the door and have more opportunity to get in the door to make money, but men have more opportunity to move up and actually have a career where they're making really good money.
Right. And for a woman to do that, to climb up the ladder, it's hard if she's actually working and not
Sleeping with
like
somebody, right?
fucking her way to the top,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So I get that.
yeah,
Now,
no, it's tough.
um, so do you feel like now we're on the topic of like women who has more opportunity to make money, men or women? Do you feel women intentionally use their looks for opportunity? Not that it just happens naturally, but do you feel like it's intentional? Like as a woman going through your like from when you started working till now, do you feel like you utilize your looks for opportunity?
I have. I have personally.
Or people
Um,
like even your friends?
yeah. I think if you've been told a few times at a place of employment that, oh, you're pretty, like they'll work with you. You're pretty, you can work here. You're pretty, you can do this, you can do that. Okay, if people keep telling me this, I'm gonna take advantage of it. So yeah, like I said, personally, I've used it in my favor. Um, I'm sure other women have too. As long as you know and as long as you've been told, it's like, shoot, okay, well, if you guys think that I meet this aesthetic standard, I'm going to take advantage of that. But not only that, like I come with brains too.
Right.
So I'm going to be a very good fit for this position. Um, and I'll blow you guys away because I'm not
So here's the
just,
thing.
oh, I'm here to be cute.
The thing is your looks though a lot of times with women get you in the door, but you're different. Not just with men, not every woman has brains, but you have brains. So now once you get yourself in the door, even if it was with your looks, like you got yourself in the door, but your brains are keeping
Hmm.
you there and can give you opportunity to move up.
I was about to say, like, myself and, you know, my friends, one friend in particular that comes to mind is,
She's,
do you know Amnea or Mina?
it sounds familiar, but I should have to be a thing of me seeing somebody's picture. But yeah.
Sure. Um, but no, she's a beautiful woman. Just recently got her PhD.
Mm.
And she has totally taken advantage of using her looks to get her in, using her looks to kiki with the right people, using her looks to network. And then once she's in the door, all brains, you know? So
And I don't
I
think
think
that
it's
I
a
don't think nothing's wrong with that.
cool thing to
Here,
use.
I,
Yeah,
I think you would be an absolute fool. This is like, and I mean this literally.
same.
You would have to be the biggest fool on earth to be a pretty woman and not use your look. Not, I'm not talking about sexually. I'm just talking about making
Hmm.
sure you look pretty and like you know like who's watching and people like the way you look. So to
Yeah,
not be intentional about it to get opportunity would be absolutely ridiculous.
such a waste of
Right.
potential. Yeah,
It would like there'd be no shot. Like so yeah, I agree with you there and I don't think it's a bad thing. It becomes I think where it could become an issue is if you have nothing else to offer outside of your looks. So
yeah,
once you utilize your looks to get in the door, now there's nothing else there. So you're just there.
yeah. No, for sure. Another individual who comes to mind, um, Amber Jolly. I don't know if you know who
No,
that
I
is.
don't know who that one is.
Um, Another person that I admire, she's, same deal, beautiful, has a good head on her shoulders. She's currently working on her PhD. Um, and she's, labor and delivery nurse.
Hmm.
You wouldn't know that talking to her, you know what I mean? Because if you're judging somebody just off of what they look like, you see a pretty girl and you just assume nothing else comes with that. But actually, when I had my son, she was there helping me through, not when I had him, not when I delivered him, but I actually had like some complications post delivery, and she was there, with all the
That's what's up.
information,
Shout out
helping
to
me
her.
translate. Yeah, right. She was there to translate the med terms that they were using that I had no idea what they were talking about. And she brought it to me in layman terms. And no, I think that there's so many women who pretty face, pretty personality, beauty brains, the whole nine. Like, you definitely at some point have used your looks to get something, whether it was an interview, whether it was to network, um, whether it was to shoot,
And you
have
know,
somebody study with, like just,
that even goes down the line of like what you just said. When we look at it from that standpoint, we know, right, that most women have utilized their looks to do certain things, as far as to get an opportunity to get themselves in the door. But um, we've also said that men are usually the ones who get promoted or move up more often than women.
hmm,
So generally
yeah,
speaking, if the men are the ones in the higher positions, it would make more sense why women are able to get in the door easier than a man because with men, a lot of testosterone involved, a lot of urges when they see a pretty girl. So they're going to just, in my opinion, just slightly favor a woman. Like just
yeah.
getting in the
No, and
door.
that's interesting that you say that, because when I got into property management, I feel like my resume was one thing, but I feel like my in-person interview, they were like, okay, like you're hired. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we didn't even talk that long, but
Yes.
okay, cool. Um, with that, like my sales had to be up, right? Like I had to lease out everything fucking possible. And I did. Like I'm a strong closer. I follow up with people. I remember everybody's names I talk to, any stories that they tell me. Like I'm very personable in that sense. And I feel like when you include those features with sales, like you're a knockout. And I produced numbers that they wanted, and I did it consistently. So I
So
was able to work my way up. But to your point, I do think I just got in the door because of my looks, because
now,
essentially I was the
now I
face,
will say this
right?
though, with you, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's not just so you are. There's certain people, right? Certain women, because everybody doesn't have it, right? You have, yeah, you have the looks, right? But you have a personality that lights up a room. So it would be very hard for
Thank
me to
you.
to say that, oh, you came in, oh, they were quick to hire you, and it's probably because of your looks. Not necessarily. Do I think could have played, but not everybody has your personality. You got to understand, like most women don't have your personality. So like even if your looks weren't a factor, it was probably a way quicker like, oh, she's pretty and like her personality's like this, hired. We're not even gonna like hired. That's just how it's gonna. But some women can come in, oh, you are pretty, but they have a dull personality. Then the decision becomes harder. Is it as a man, you're still gonna be like, oh, dang, should I hire that? It's gonna be even if she had a dull personality, it's gonna be there. She's gonna still be up there with your decision making on who you're hiring just off of her looks. But if she don't let her have a good personality, because then it's you're guaranteed hired no matter what. Even if it was a
Mhm.
man with more credentials and a solid personality, if you had good looks and a personality, you're hired. I don't care. Like
Yeah. Well, I feel like with sales, especially having a good personality is definitely, definitely, definitely a bonus. Um, and my interviewing style, I've never been just like, oh yeah, these are the answers to my questions. This is what you guys want to hear. Like I've always made sure to like be myself, um, bring a little charisma and a little bit of humor to the table, and it usually works. So
I remember I used to like I'd say stuff like what did I say? I had this thing that I would say in my sales interviews. I'd be like look, and at the end of the day, like the way I look at it, a company that wants to win is gonna hire me. If they want to lose, they're gonna hire the other candidates. Simple as that. It would be on the lines of that. I can't remember how I worded it because it's been a while, but like, and they loved it.
yeah, no, that's a
They
very
fr
bold statement.
they loved it. They'd be like, okay. And in interviews, I always tried to make sure that I was like extremely confident. I didn't want to seem cocky. Like I'd let it be known I'm
Yeah.
open to learn. You can never have like a closed mind. Like you gotta be humble enough to understand that you can learn from everybody or from a lot of situations. You don't know
Mhm.
enough to where you can't learn anything. So,
Yeah,
but
that's so true.
so moving forward, um. Your take on wearing bonnets in public. This is a funny one.
So, um, I feel like as a lady, and even something that I will teach my son, is to always be presentable.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go to the grocery store in black tie, but before you leave this house, I don't care to run an errand, to do whatever, I think it is a great habit to make sure that you get ready and you're dressed for the day before you show yourself to the world. You never know what opportunities are going to lie when you leave the store. You never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to meet. And on a less serious note, let's say you run into your fucking ex at the grocery store and you're just running around in a fucking bonnet looking like shit. Now you're going to be that crazy fucking ex that just looks wild in public, you know? But joking, but in all seriousness, I think that it says a lot about your character when you are in public presentable, period.
I think
So I do not like wearing bonnets in public, and I wish more young women would take them off and just put in a little bit of effort to take care of what's underneath and polish it up and be the best version of yourself when you leave the door.
so. I think it's funny as far as looking presentable when you're leaving. I think that's more of a task for women, obviously, because like women have
Well,
to.
no, men too, because you're not. So, like I said, I'm going to teach this to my son as well. You're not just gonna fucking leave the house and go to the grocery store with, ashy feet and some slides and some stained
No,
basketball shorts and a t-shirt.
no, but
That
here's what I
you
mean
are
by
going to be
that.
presentable when you
If a woman
leave.
was to be like a woman being presentable, there's a reason women take longer in the bathroom 90% of the time over a man. It's because y'all have a lot more to do. You gotta do all your hair, you gotta do your
Yeah.
makeup, you also are gonna have to do the same things when it comes to lotioning
You don't have
up.
to do your makeup. You don't have to do your makeup. Like, okay, I'll say this. I could easily go to the grocery store and put a bonnet on and throw on whatever the fuck and get out, right? But then I'm gonna look crazy at the store. For me, like getting ready for the day, this isn't getting ready for a night out, this isn't getting ready for work, but just getting ready to run errands is a simple, like, I got up, I washed my ass, I brushed my teeth, I combed my hair. I don't necessarily have to put makeup on to go run errands. And yeah, I put some lotion on my knees, ankles, and elbows so I don't look crazy out in public.
Right.
And I'm gonna put a clean outfit on, not clean like, oh, like that fit is clean. I'm gonna put on, something that is literally clean and looks decent, you know?
And then for a man though,
Like
it's like
today,
I can
today is
go
an
ahead.
off day for me. I was gonna say, like, today is an off day for me, and showered, got ready for the day. I don't have to wear jeans and a whole bunch of stuff that's uncomfortable, but just I think it's a good habit to just take care of yourself and allow yourself to be presentable for the day, even if you don't have nothing planned.
Yeah, I
And it doesn't have to take 2 hours. It can literally just take 30 minutes and that's it.
I just feel like so for a man, like regarding like yeah, the stain part, obviously you're not don't roll out with stain, but we literally can just put on gym shorts, a t-shirt, and slides. And as long as you're not ashy, you're like you obviously you should be taking a shower or whatever, like brushing your teeth.
Yeah,
That's
brush
normal
your
stuff.
teeth, do the
That's normal
things.
stuff for everybody. So that's why I'm not even gonna like obviously take a shower, brush your what should be normal. Take a shower, brush your teeth.
Well, I was gonna say not for everybody, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but that should be what you do. But after that, I feel like the men of in a man's case, you can literally basketball shorts, so t-shirt and slides, and you can go out the door and be like presentable to like. And now if you're going out sagging and do like that's a whole different discussion. But like for a man, like you can go out with really simple stuff like that versus like a woman. Like a woman come out in some basketball shorts or something like that, I wouldn't consider that presentable. Or like if she, but I feel like her hair
I
is,
think the equal presentables are okay. So one thing, and I don't know, my opinion may change as my son gets older, but I don't give a fuck. You're not going outside with slides on. Neither am I. Put some
yeah,
fucking shoes on.
you're crazy. Yes, he will be. I promise. I pro
No, put some shoes on.
There's no way you're gonna
You're
stop that man from wearing slides. That is like
the least he can do is wear some
it's
fucking
that
socks with the
it's well yeah
slides.
hell who
Okay,
you shouldn't be
so
going out with no socks on with your slides. But I'm saying
I've
from
I've seen some people. I've seen some people, and I'm just like, that is what my son will not be doing.
yeah that looks
But
crazy. But
it definitely looks crazy. It's very unhinged. But um women, yeah, we're not going to throw on basketball shorts and a top, but I think the equivalent would be, some joggers and a hoodie or something. Like that's fine. Just get dressed for the day and look decent. Like I said, you don't have to show up to the grocery store in black tie, but show up in something comfortable enough to where if you do run into somebody, you're not like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just not dressed." Like
right.
I definitely believe in, if you walk out this door, are you confident enough to sell yourself if a business opportunity presented itself?
Yeah, I'd be confident enough to sell myself no matter if I was crusty or not.
Jesus
Just
Christ.
keep it a buck.
And the other
Like
thing too with my son, like you are a representation of me and your dad, so you're not gonna go out looking like shit. So yeah,
I think as he gets older, I don't think you're going to be as strict as you think. And the reason why I'm going to say that, just hear me
yes
out.
I am.
Just hear me out.
I
It's
am.
because he is a boy. Like, are you trying to raise a so he's going to be in sports. He's going to be doing these things that boys
Sure.
do.
Where your slides at practice?
You're playing football. Like, you're gonna be sweaty at times. You go outside and play.
Yeah,
You
after you
go
do things that permit that, but you are not gonna wake up and just run around smelling like shit
I'm not saying
and
time out. I'm not
not
saying
having
that.
good hygiene
I so
practices
no,
and throwing
what
on dirty
no,
clothes.
that is not what I'm saying.
Unacceptable.
I was speaking on the side of things where you were talking about like wearing slides or um like he should have on shoes or um leaving like be ready to present himself for a business option. I mean a business opportunity. Obviously as he's younger, it's
So the
probably
what this is what I've seen growing up. My father has never left the house with slides on, period, ever. I've seen him walk around the house with slides on. I've seen him run out and get the paper with slides on.
your father and my
Um,
father are 100 years old.
I don't care. I don't care. My father, when he leaves the house, he is presentable. He dresses himself like he goes as far damn near to wear jeans or uncomfortable wear every day. I feel like our generation has accepted more like lounge wear to
Hmm.
be appropriate. But yeah, so that is what I grew up with. And even my boyfriend now, like he said, if we're going, let's say we're gonna get something to eat, right? A early casual dinner, like a 4 p.m. dinner. If he's wearing a t-shirt and basketball shorts, he is not gonna wear that when we go out
And
to
he
eat.
shouldn't. I'm speaking, we're not, but
Like I said, even like a casual thing.
here's I think the difference in opinion. You're speaking on grown men who are probably either 40 plus years old versus a
Which my
child.
little boy will be a grown man, so he is going to be practicing how to present himself at some point like a grown man, a presentable,
Okay.
polished young man.
Okay.
Now, of course, as a
This is what I
child,
want to
I'm not going to
know.
tell him
I wish I could talk to your boyfriend right now because I'm not sure he would. What was he like when he was 12 years old? Was he walking around suited up and booted with dress shoes on and was this how he was dressing when he was 12?
before I answer that,
Yeah.
pause real quick, because he's actually in the living room, so I can ask him.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yes. Ask him.
maybe for an off-camera
Okay.
answer. Okay, one
Well,
second.
yeah,
One second.
off camera answer real quick. Yep.
Okay, hold on. He's on a call. He's on a call, but when he gets off, we'll come back to this. So I'm gonna write this
Okay.
down.
Yes, perfect.
Um,
I didn't know he was home. That's actually perfect. You can ask him, and that's not even that crazy of a question, but it's like I'm
yeah.
curious to like
What
how I want to know when he was a young boy, and you could even say between the ages of like 10 through 15 or 10 through 16 or whatever. Like how was he dressing?
do you say, 10 to 15?
Yeah, like 10 to 15, like a kid, 10 to 15.
When he gets off that call, we'll bring him in here.
Perfect. That is perfect. Now, so I mean, I guess since we're gonna loop back around to that question, what we can do while we're waiting for him to get off a call is I'll ask you the next question that I had to follow up with the question regarding bonnets in public. Um,
Okay.
do you feel like when a woman does go out in public and present herself like that, that it makes her seem ratchet or people would perceive her to be less valuable?
I think people would perceive her to, um, gosh, less valuable is such a harsh word because I don't think it necessarily measures your
Well,
value,
you
but I
got to
do think
understand, you
people
got to
are
take
judging,
time out,
to say the
time
least.
out. You got to think when we're talking about people do look at you and gauge your value off of first impression, right? Off of how they
Yeah.
see you. And it's not that if they have the opportunity to sit down and get to know you, that could change, but off of perception, that's like saying if you seen um this crusty guy walking around and he had a hole in his shirt and this and that, would you view him as valuable as a man walking around with a suit and tie on with a briefcase?
There's a lot of suit and ties that are assholes, but
Be keep it a
um
buck.
yeah, no, honestly, like if I saw somebody like that just did not pull themselves together in public, you made zero efforts, I'm definitely like side-eyeing them, not gonna lie.
Right, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they are less valuable, just that they're perceived to be off your initial reaction to what they look like. Would you say, I mean, so to answer that, like,
Like I said, I'm not gonna think that somebody's less
okay,
valuable, but I'm
okay,
going to look at them and just kind of be like, why didn't you get like I'm judging. I
mm-hmm,
am judging, but I'm not deeming somebody's value from that, to answer your
okay.
question.
And then for me to answer that, I would say I do think it makes a woman look ratchet, far as if she is wearing a bonnet. And I also think it would uh it would make you look less valuable. And mind you, I'm not saying that means you are less valuable. It just makes you look less valuable, in my opinion, because you don't look like you care enough about how you're viewed outside of your house enough to present yourself at a certain level when going out in public. So in my opinion, it does make you seem less valuable.
It's fair to say.
How do you view somebody who is in shape versus somebody who's out of shape? What's your initial thoughts? Like,
Uh, yeah, I think they're disciplined.
okay, that's a very good word. Yes, discipline. Okay, so your initial thoughts is that they're disciplined. So regarding the
Mhm.
person that is out of shape, um, off of the initial your initial first reaction, would you say that if they're out of
Out
shape,
of shape, like how out of shape? Like, are we talking like obesity?
we're
Are we
talking about
talking
we're talking
like, oh,
about
you
I don't want to go in the realm of like 300 plus
a fat person?
pounders. I don't want to go in the realm of like a 300 plus
Okay, but like
pounder,
50 pounds, 50 pounds overweight.
right? Like something like that, like
Okay.
50 pounds overweight, um, and you were looking to do business with somebody. They had all the same qualities, right? The in shape person and the out of shape person, far as both had good personalities, both had ambition, and you had to make a choice on who you wanted to be your partner. Do you feel like the how they are physically, their physical appearance would maybe sway your decision if all other things were fairly even?
I think so. And the only wiggle room that I would have and the only grace that I would have for that is if that individual just had a baby within the last year, because that is such a crazy time for a new mom physically. Um, don't expect her to be snatched and fit in that period. Um, and of course, when you're speaking to people, you do get a little bit of insight on their personal life. So I feel like I would be able to get that information out of somebody if need be. But yeah, if that was not the case, though, I think that I would go with the individual who is a little bit more fit, just because I see more areas that I can literally see that they're capable of commitment, they're capable of
Mm-hmm.
discipline. And with that, because to be fit, you have to show consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go with that person.
Yeah, those two keywords, like off of first appearance, like if a lot of things were fairly even and you had to make a
Hmm.
decision, the one thing that the fit person shows off of top outside of your first appearance is commitment and discipline. And like,
Yeah.
therefore, you know that they have the ability to commit to something long term and they have the
Yeah.
ability to be disciplined enough to succeed at what they're doing. So,
Right.
um,
And like I said, they're capable of it. They're
right,
capable. It doesn't mean that they are,
right,
because
no
there's some,
facts.
examples of like fit people who are like dog cheaters, you know? So, but it does show that the characteristic is there, and if
Right.
they utilize it properly, it can create a magical thing. So,
Okay. And so, what would you say? That might be a good question. What would you say is the most difficult thing? Would you say is the most difficult thing in a work environment as a woman to deal with?
to be taken serious and to not have people, for me, I get uncomfortable when I can tell a male employee is trying to, no, like seriously,
I know
I
you're
I
being
get
so
very uncomfortable
serious,
when I
but
can tell
it's unfortunate because I know a lot of people are thirsty. But go ahead,
it's
my bad.
like it needs to be talked about more. But no, I get uncomfortable in a professional work environment when a male is making the slightest like flirtatious sexual comments. I won't even say sexual, but just like flirting and throwing out like unnecessary comments that have to do with looks, but it's not enough for HR to deal with, right? So it's like that fine line of
Do you have like an
can't really
example
say
of
much
like
about it.
not any not a so not to expound on a personal
So
situation, just like
one
an example of
example
like a
that
comment that could be made.
yeah, so one example that made me uncomfortable because I knew the angle that he was taking it to. So there was a maintenance man and his wife, and they lived on site, right? So we saw his wife all the time. She used to come up to the office and bring us snacks and cookies and goods and all the different things. He would always make comments to me like, "Oh, Shay, this is a nice outfit. It looks very nice on you. It's very flattering." And I'm like, "Thanks."
What do
Like
you mean by that?
personally, I feel like you could have just kept that comment to yourself. Because I'm not going to make comments to men about anything looking flattering to them. I just think it's inappropriate and it has nothing to do with work.
Hold on. So
So we don't need to
before you
talk
move
about it.
forward, I have a question on what you just said. So you think um
I wasn't done, but
oh go
yeah,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'll let you finish.
Okay, so he would make like little comments like that. Like I said, not enough to take to HR, but just like you're putting me in a weird position to where like if I'm nice to you, like you're gonna keep doing it, or if I say thanks and it's not the craziest, heaviest progressive gesture or comment, but you're going to take it that way. And you're just going to add on like a little inch every time from now on. Right. So, another comment that he made that was very like cringy for me. At the time, I was dating somebody and we had broken up. And, your work, you spend a lot of time with these people, right? So in the office, I was talking to the girls about it, and word got around that my ex and I had broken up, and he got wind of it, and he's like, man, the guy, he's just to lose a girl like you, it's okay, you'll find better, blah 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 woo woo woo. And I'm just like, okay, thanks, but I would appreciate that comment a lot more if it came from one of the girls, you know
Hold
what I
on. What
mean?
did
Like I
he
just
say?
don't
Can
feel
you
like that
say
was
that?
his
What did he say
place.
again? The
Something along the lines of the guy losing a girl like me and his fault and
oh
like just going down that trail of comments. Like I said, I can't picture myself saying to, so also keep in mind he's like 60, okay? But I couldn't see myself telling somebody at work, a man, one, I wouldn't ask about how their breakup is going. Two, I wouldn't make comments on how much of a great man you are and like she really missed out and you deserve better or
hmm.
whatever. If anything, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you're going through that. Um, you know, unfortunately it's a part of life, and I hope that you can navigate through this. I'd say something along those lines. Would not make extra comments. Anyway, so his wife and him come in one day, and we're all in the office, and I had worn my hair differently, right? As a matter of fact, I had it in, are you familiar with what boho locks are, or goddess locks, I guess they call
Oh
them?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I had that hairstyle. And he's like, wow, that's a hairstyle. And I thought he was just gonna leave it at that, you know? And he's like, it's like really sexy. I like it. And I'm like, motherfucker, ew. B, your wife is right there. And she like tagged on to the comment. And she was like, yeah, no, it does look really, really good. I really like it. And I feel like a lot of women, because I've been in that position with my ex before, where like your man might have said something stupid or inappropriate, and you just kind of like act like it's a normal, nonchalant thing for him to say. So you're just like, okay, yeah, no, like whatever. And then you guys argue about it in the car on the way home.
Right.
But yeah, no, I was like, that's such a weird fucking comment. But I can't be a bitch to him and be cold to him because he's still a part of my team at the end of the day.
Right.
If I say something about it, it's going to create a lot of like tension, right? Um, and we don't want tension in a workplace, but we still want to establish boundaries. But you can't be a woman in the workplace and be a bitch at the same time. So how do you handle that? You know what I mean? If I had it my way, I would just work with all women, honestly. Being
So
in that office was so much fun because it wasn't all women staff. It was just maintenance that were men.
so I wanted to comment on some of the things that you brought up that he was saying to you. For instance, like you look flattering or whatever. He said like you look nice that day, right?
Yeah, and it's a comment that like would catch me off guard because I feel like there's other words you can use to mat it and make it appropriate. But like flattering is not something that I would say to someone
So can
if
I
I wasn't trying
ask what
to
was his ethnicity?
white.
Okay, makes a personally, I'm gonna say this. Coming from a white guy, it sounds like I've I don't know. I can see it both ways. Like I can see how you think that, but a lot of time, in my opinion, um, you have a lot of you don't have a lot of white friends, and you also you're not well, I don't know, like maybe you are, I'm not really in your personal life far as you dating, but I don't think you're dating a lot of white men. So, or were in the past, I should say. So,
I've
I
never dated a white man before.
okay, so I think that white people, that is a word that they would choose to use a lot more likely than a black man. But if somebody said, like, for instance, to you, like, oh, you look flattering today. Now, I don't necessarily think that means like, oh, he's trying to like inch his way in. I don't get that off of the word him saying flattering. Now,
We are talking about a 60-year-old white man. He doesn't have the
no,
riz that a 25-year-old does
no,
or
no,
would say.
no, I get that. I'm just saying like I think I don't think you should assume just because somebody said you look flattering that they're trying to take baby steps into like
So
talking to
where did
you.
the sexy hair comment
So
come
look,
from?
I'm getting into the
Because
other
I've
ones.
always like
Hold
one
up.
thing, my intuition never lies. And I always
But
got
it
creepy
tells
vibes from
fibs.
him. No,
I'm I'm just
not
giving you shit.
mine.
I'm just
And
giving
I've
you
shared
shit.
stories with you before. My intuition has not been wrong yet.
So look,
So
and I'm just speaking on a an aspect that not what I'm trying to say is so I'll get into the other two comments that he made and then I'll tell you. So he said you were talking about your regarding to your breakup that he lost a good girl or that was his loss. He lost a good girl or was, something along those lines.
the way that he said it, it was, and it's been years ago, but
Right.
it was something along the lines of like, it wasn't that normal, like, oh, like you're such a great person, like you'll find somebody better, blah, blah, blah. Like it wasn't matted like that. It was very like I said, borderline, what the fuck did you say? but not enough to like ask him what the fuck did he say.
So I'm trying to like think of all the ways somebody can say like, oh, like that's his loss. Like you're an amazing girl. You're pretty. You got a good head
Like I
on
said,
your
if it were me,
shoulders. Like
if
don't
it
even
were
worry
me
about the. Go ahead.
and there was an employee, yeah, if it was me and there was an employee who, first of all, I would not go out of my way to comment on their breakup. One thing if you're talking to me about it and I have to like conversate with you and respond back. Another thing if you go out of your way to like talk to me about it and like, oh, what happened? And oh, he really lost a good one. Tell you that. And it's like, ew. Like, one, I didn't ask you. Two, no,
So
no.
I was only getting down the lines of he said he was 60, he was married. Now, granted, like there's a lot of men that are going to be trying to like make little passes, but then there's also just there is like what I don't think people realize, a lot of guys that are actually really nice and maybe just trying to be comforting. Um,
As a woman who has heard all the things, I can decipher what gestures, what comments, and what tones mean what. That was not a, I'll put it to you like this. His tone and conversation towards me was not like, oh, I'm trying to get you out to eat. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. He just wanted to be on my radar to some degree. Okay. He made comments that were borderline inappropriate. Inappropriate enough to, he's married, right? His wife wouldn't appreciate those comments. Those are the type of comments that he made, period.
and another, so to piggyback on the last comment he made, you said it was in front of his wife.
Yeah,
Now,
in front of the
what?
whole fucking
So
office. It
listen,
was
this
very
this is the
uncomfortable.
one that got me because it's like if this was something he was willing to bring up in front of his wife, or a comment he was willing to make in front of his wife and the whole office, personally, I don't think he had crazy intent behind it because there's no man, well, there's always, but generally speaking, it makes no logical sense for if you felt like you were doing something wrong or you felt like you were actually trying to get at a girl, you're gonna make, or you wanted to be on her radar, you're gonna
There's
make that
enough
type of
men who are stupid. There are enough men who are stupid, and it threw the whole office off because even one of the other leasing agents was like, "That's a weird thing to say." And she like went back to her computer and like left it at that. And I didn't say thank you or anything because we all thought it was a weird fucking thing to say.
So the only thing I have like to say regarding like being on the opposite end of the spectrum, meaning like, so I remember working at um this job where I had moved up to quality assurance manager in Chandler. It shut down, but there was this girl there that um she was just an agent on the floor, and she like made a comment to me like, "Oh, your outfit looks really not really nice," or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh, thank you, appreciate that." And then what else did she say? Oh, she had commented about my hair. She was like, "How long have you been growing your hair?" Like da, 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 like and just brought up like she was just making like subtle things like which I thought she was like insinuating like, "Oh, like I'm into you or I want you to make a move," right? And so I like it happened like four times, right? It was like my outfit, then it was my hair, and then she said I had a really nice smile. Um, and then what's it called? Like she told me she's like, "Oh, you're a smooth talker." Like I can tell. Like by the way, when I got on the phone one time to take over one of her calls, right? And she's like looking at me like, "Oh, you're a smooth talker." And I thought it was like more flirtatious, right? She had her hand on my shoulder. She's like, "You're a smooth talker." I'm like, "Oh yeah." She's trying to get fucked. Now, that was how I was, mind you, I'm 20. I'm 20, 24, so or around those, somewhere around there. But anyway, when I actually made a,
Wild behavior.
I'm I went to make a move on this girl. She was not on that at all. Like when I tell you there was I got the wrong impression completely.
And there are some
She had a
people who
whole
flirt with no
boyfriend.
intention.
Yeah, like so look, she had a whole boyfriend. She wouldn't give me her number, Snapchat, nothing. She was like, "Oh no, like I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to give you wrong vibes. I was just I just like I give compliments if I like whether you're a guy or girl." So that's why I was asking regarding that because I've had situations where I interpreted something wrong even though it looked and sounded flirty and was consistent and I was almost 100% positive and I was wrong. I was just flat out wrong. And I was like, damn, I'm an idiot.
Well, that was your experience.
All right.
That was mine.
No, true.
So,
I was only trying to give like sight to maybe basically instead of like me assuming or you assuming, instead of anybody making an assumption on a situation, to take a step back and maybe give grace unless like you are in a situation where something actually happens, like a motherfucker asks you on a date or actually physically like try to touch you or like I'm saying just off of like or a just outward comment like I definitely date you or like just some I don't know like some type of comment where it's like you're 100% positive, not just like oh like you look flattering today or like oh you're a good girl he like whatever even however to
no,
say
it
it.
wasn't just flattering comments. It was, I'll put it to you like this: the maintenance people and the people in the office do not need to talk unless we're talking about maintenance.
Why?
Why you're talking to me about, what do you mean why? Because you should be servicing apartments and rentals. Why are you in the office talking to
Why
us
are y'all
about
acting
anything?
like why y'all act you acting like no, we ain't people. I've done so look, I'm only saying that I've done maintenance before. You acting like they're not people, like, yeah, we have orders and
No,
stuff.
I'm
There's
not.
all
No, I'm not saying that maintenance men aren't people and that you can't talk to them or whatever. But that's like me going into their apartment, like into a unit with them. One, I shouldn't be in the fucking, like, I got shit to do in the office. Like, that's where I work. You doing maintenance, your work, your work orders are in people's homes. If you're fucking off in the office, you're not getting shit done.
so when I
And then
was a
also, if
maintenance
you're
person,
fucking
I don't
off
know
in the
how y'all's
office
work,
talking to me
but we got our orders from the office. We had to like you
in
have
the
to go in the
morning,
office, yeah, whether it be in the morning or stuff happens or somebody needs to talk to you or a mess in the office or you need to um throw their trash away. So
grab keys,
yeah, all but that's what I'm
whatever.
saying.
Yeah.
It's still he has things he has to do still in the office, whereas the now the situation you gave, you have damn near a very like no reason to be in a maintenance office. Like it'd be very situational.
Well,
Sometimes
I'm
I'm saying
saying
it's not as
that,
likely.
meaning you shouldn't be in the office talking and kicking it for 10 minutes and shooting the shits and talking about nothing relevant when there's a lot of work orders to be done, especially in the summertime in Arizona when every other air conditioner is going out and telling me that I'm flattering. We're here to work. I'm not here telling other people that they look good or whatever. Even if I see a man with a haircut, I may acknowledge the haircut, like, oh my gosh, you got your haircut. And that's as far as I take it. I'm not going to tell someone that they look flattering or, oh my gosh, this outfit like makes you just, I don't know, it gives off like a different vibe. Like I'm not talking like that to people. I think it's inappropriate. And I think when we're at work, we need to talk about things that have to do with work. If you want to share some of your personal life, do so. But making extra comments pertaining to people's
So
looks
I
or
got an example
what you
for
would
you.
want to do
I
to
want your
them
opinion on
are
this
not
example.
appropriate.
I want your opinion
Point
on this
blank,
example.
period.
I want your opinion on this example. If, for instance, there was a guy maybe that was in office, I'm talking like very low end business casual, like didn't dress up right at all, like really, it was just bare minimal. And one day this motherfucker just came in fucking spiffed out with Louis V, like full like suit or whatever, like just complete. different from what he normally wears. You're saying that you wouldn't even it wouldn't be a situation you'd be like, "Oh, damn, you came in spiffy today." You can't comment on somebody like a man he comes in, this is your coworker, you see him on a day-to-day basis. He dresses something
Tom, I
completely
was not
different.
wearing nothing special. I was not wearing nothing special. Nothing outside of what I normally wear.
Okay, well
It was not something to be
you
acknowledged.
just told me that just now. So like originally though, just based on his comment, it sounded like you
What
had
I'm
wore
telling you
something.
is that I know what the tone was, and I didn't like it, and I was uncomfortable with it, and that's the end of it.
Okay. So you're uncomfortable then at work with guys talking to you basically.
I didn't say that. I don't like inappropriate comments that have to put me in a position of, oh my gosh, do I still have to be nice to this person, or am I going to fucking cause drama in the workplace because I'm making a comment about how this individual made a comment to me and it was inappropriate? It doesn't have anything to do with work. You're flirting with me, doing whatever. Like, I should not have to deal with that at
Okay,
work.
so I think the difference here is where you deem it like what I would consider like not an inappropriate comment as an inappropriate comment. It's like it's one thing to say like, "Oh, I feel like you didn't have to say that," but to say inappropriate, I feel like it's kind of harsh. Like inappropriate to tell somebody, "Oh, like
It
your hair
wasn't
looks good today," or
appropriate.
flattering, or like
It wasn't appropriate. No, to say that my hair is sexy is inappropriate on so many levels. One, to your wife. Two, to me as your coworker.
so.
It's just not okay.
So
That does not get written off.
has a woman ever told you your hair was sexy
Not that I can
at work? Would
recall.
you
Like we all
also?
in the office were just like,
I'm
fuck.
saying if a woman did all of these same things, would you feel it was inappropriate? If she had told you that girl, you
Yeah,
look good
because why are
today.
you speaking like that?
Okay. Well, hey, I ain't got if you would feel the same way for a woman, then I can't really say nothing. As long as that goes both, like if a woman said, "Hey, you look flattering," or like um like she just reached out and commented like, "Hey, like girl, like he lost a good guy. You're beautiful, intelligent. Like I mean, he lost a good girl. You're beautiful, intelligent, and that's his loss."
Well, we know that doesn't have a sexual
You
undertone to
but
it. You know
here's
what
a
I mean?
but here's the thing, you don't always know people. Like she could be bi on the low. You don't know what her past experience is. Maybe she also sleeps with women. Maybe she finds you attractive. There's a lot of women I'm finding out that are straight that would still they consider themselves straight and would still do something with a girl if she's hot enough. So like I'm saying
And that may be.
but you don't know that though.
However, yeah, I don't know a lot of things. You could be gay. You could be getting bottomed out for all I know, but I don't know. Now, as
Yeah, that's
far as
cap.
what now as far as what I'm being presented with and what is being brought to my attention, that's what I can work with. If we live in a world where we're just assuming and doing all this extra shit where we're overly empathetic with everybody, we're going to drive ourselves crazy
But you just said a
playing
world
with
where you
shit
were
that's not
assuming. You
facts.
just said you were playing, but that contradicts what you're saying
Th-
then.
that
Because you were
that wasn't an
assuming.
assumption. That was what it was. Is that not an inappropriate comment to make to somebody? Your wife is standing right there. Your coworker is standing over here.
So I'll
Are
say
we going to say
this.
that that's
I
okay?
would say the word.
Absolutely fucking
I
not.
would say the word. To me, it's not so much the word. Well, yeah, the word sexy, right? I'll say that last comment that he made. I could
You
validate.
don't need to
I could
use that
val.
in a workplace.
Okay,
Period. That
that's
has
why I said I can validate. I can validate the last comment as inappropriate, depending on
and we can say that
depending
the
on how.
comments leading up to that were the comments in that tone that led up to that comment at the very end. Point blank period. He didn't just develop this overnight.
Talking about he didn't develop. No, I just feel like the word saying that the reason I said could be deemed inappropriate is because it also is going to depend on how he said it. But the thing is, it's also the person, how the person that it's,
Inappropriate doesn't mean that it's like flat out like devil striking wrong. Inappropriate just means that it wasn't fitting to that situation.
yeah. Um, yeah, and that's the thing. But do you think that's how people perceive? Like maybe he didn't think it was inappropriate. That's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
that's where he needs to do, we talk about self-awareness, that's where he needs to get the constructive criticism from his wife, it sounds like, and work on how he comments about people's looks.
okay. Interesting. I have yeah, that's an interesting take. I've seen so yeah. And I mean I get how you feel too, so it's not like I'm saying I don't understand where you're coming from. I'm just trying to look at
And
it
I'm not
from
saying that his goal was to like, oh, I'm on a mission, I need to get in her pants by this date, this time. No, I'm not saying that. But there are some people who just make comments, whether they're sexual or what they think is funny, but it's really inappropriate, right? And you just don't need to talk to people that way. Like you have to watch what you say and make sure that what you're saying to people don't make people uncomfortable, especially in a work setting, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's something that is or should be common knowledge and common etiquette.
hmm. I'm trying to think now at like any comments I've made at a woman in a workplace. I remember this one girl that pulled up and I had told her something like, "Oh yeah, you didn't come out to play today. You came out to shit on motherfuckers." And like I'm like, "Yeah, like or like
Based on your if you guys talk that way to each other, cool. If it's reciprocated and it's accepted, fine. But if it's not, then that's where
but
it gets a little tricky.
that's where I feel like it needs to be expressed because if it was never it might be an uncomfortable convo or whatever, but like I'm just saying if it's not expressed and maybe somebody doesn't know that or they don't feel that like you're a different person than everybody's different, maybe they didn't feel that and it's something, hey, like these comments, like can you please not make those, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And
Yeah, and I've done that. I've done that in a workplace before. And what ends up happening is a whole bunch of unnecessary drama because now, you have the person who's telling on someone. Nobody likes that, right?
no,
Even
I didn't say
though
tell the manager, I'm talking about talk to them, the person doing
talk
it.
to them, talk to a manager, whatever you have to do to try to remedy the situation, it gets tricky. And you asked me the question about being a woman in a
Hmm.
workplace. That is where you have to walk the fine line of you still are trying to be respected in a leadership role. You're still trying not to be the bitch.
Hmm.
You're still trying to appease everybody at the same time. You still want to be the good person that's approachable and that people can laugh with and have a decent relationship with, but you still need to get shit done at work and you need to do it effectively.
Yeah, so effectively tell that motherfucker to not fucking talk to you.
It's not that simple because people get even though somebody may make you uncomfortable, you express that to them in a workplace. Now they feel like, oh my gosh, now they attacked me and I'm uncomfortable. And that's not the case. It's just boundaries need to be established and boundaries need to be respected as well.
And the thing with like now that we're in onto that topic, the thing that blows me with women is you can blow on them the wrong way and they'll go to HR regarding like SA. Like I don't want to say it on the podcast because like they can demonetize you for it, but you know what SA is,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
you blow on them the wrong, like you can legitimately brush shoulders and the right female feels some type of way, you can be potentially getting in trouble for it. And
Hmm.
I feel like when you flip that around, like it's not looked at in a negative light as bad for women as it is for men. Because women do make a lot in the
No, and
workplaces.
this is what I'll say about men versus women as far as that goes. More women do not want to be bothered sexually. Period.
Yeah.
Most men welcome it. So yes, it is taking place on both sides. There are um, gestures being made from both parties. I think more gets reported from women being victims of it versus men because men will fuck the girl at work and it's not a big deal to them. he'll follow up with her advancements. Most women do not. So I think that's where the numbers kind of get skewed a little bit. I definitely think the activity is present on both sides, but men are just more accepting of, oh, you
But
like me?
that also
Okay.
comes from the nature of men are predators, you guys are prey. I know it sounds funny, but that's the reality of it. Men approach you guys. Like
Mm,
that in major like generally speaking, a man approaches a woman, like, and you have no way of knowing. That's my problem. It's like you don't, workplace or not, you meet people everywhere. Work, gym, different places, you don't know. If you like somebody, you can respectfully see if you can like take, I don't care what the setting is. If they say no respectfully, then you need to respectfully leave them alone and not make it awkward, like you can, okay. But where I think
totally.
where I think
Totally.
the
Both
issue for
ways.
me, right, the issue for me though is with women. If you are trying to acknowledge that you're interested, or you, let's say you made a comment about like, hey, you look nice today, and you're looking to potentially ask them on a date, right? You don't know if that woman's interested or not, but you're not trying to be somebody that's making them feel awkward, but you also can't read minds. So if this
Right.
woman doesn't say, "Hey, like, I'm not looking to mix business with pleasure, like respectfully, like you seem like a good person, but that's not something I'm into." Now, the problem for me, if that guy pursues after that, that is a huge problem. But if
Hmm.
if not, then it's fine. I just think women will take it to the extent even before ever telling the person, hey, I'm not interested or I don't like that. It's just never told. You don't even say nothing and you just like expect somebody to,
And you know, maybe on the woman's end, I guess where we're kind of like with it is a guy will make an advancement towards you
right,
and you don't say yes. You don't say no, but
right.
you're not saying yes because you're trying to be nice, right? You don't want to be rude.
And
But
I
I
feel like
feel like
that's where
because
women
you're
have to
just
figure out how
tolerating that
to
person.
respectfully, and I don't think it's hard. I think it's as simple.
Hold on, you've disconnected.
Hello? Are you there? Oh, you cut. Okay, no, you
Yeah,
you were
now
reconnect.
it's now
Okay,
it's normal.
we're good. So I think the issue that I have is like I don't think it's difficult or hard to think about for a woman to, like you're saying, like she plays in this gray area. For a man, it makes you still feel like you have a chance because she hasn't told you yeah, but she hasn't told you no. And we know a woman's not gonna usually pursue
Now,
us.
the reason why women do not flat out say no and the reason why women are just nice is because for one, even though we might have like an uncomfortable inkling of like, okay, this person is hitting on me, I'm not interested, but okay, also, what if they're not hitting on me and I'm just assuming? So it's like we don't want to make a problem out of nothing yet, right? The other part of that too is like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's been times where like somebody is obnoxious and they've tried to get at me before, and I'm just like, no. And it turns into like all types of fuck you bitches, you know? So
I
it's
would even
like if
go,
I'm just nice, like I can at least like kind of be safe. You know what I mean?
no, I understand that. I would even go down the lines of like if you felt like there was like somebody like that made a comment right to you and you didn't like it or made you feel uncomfortable, maybe if you don't want to like come to them specifically and have that discussion, maybe it's a conversation like on the terms of talking to a manager but not telling them to specifically talk to the individual and hey, do you think you can like we can have a like you can have a, a group meeting or an office meeting and just let everybody know like
Oh,
hey,
those things have been done. All those things have been done, but people are going to do what they're going to do. So,
yeah. So
what
I
do you do
guess
with
at
that?
that
You can't
point,
fire everybody.
no, right, I think at that point um it's just about finding, I don't know where that is because every woman's different, right, you know, and how they how comfortable they feel or their view on like actually addressing a situation like that. And if they don't address it, then I feel like that puts you in a real like sticky situation of like, you
It
know,
does. And I think the reason why a lot of women don't address it is because it's when you weigh out the options, it's almost better to not address it sometimes.
Hmm.
Like, okay, we can still fly under the radar. No, like I'm not gonna get cussed out. It's not gonna be awkward. Even though it is awkward, it's not gonna be as awkward as if I just tell this motherfucker no. Like, especially in a workplace, because you are trying to still keep everybody happy. And it's fucked up that, your comfortability is compromised in that. But it's the reality of the world that we live in. Um, Outside of the workplace, I'm very quick to tell somebody that they've made me uncomfortable, but I get cussed out almost every single fucking time for it. Or I'm like I do not get a respectful response for trying
So
to
outside of
create
the
a
workplace,
boundary.
do you do it in a respectful way? Are you like, don't fucking talk, like, are you disrespectful? Or are you just
No,
like,
I don't have to be nasty about it, but there's been
right,
times where I'm like, hey, like I'm not interested, or like me and my friends are out and we just won't even talk back. Won't even talk back because we just don't
now
even
I'll
want to
say,
acknowledge
I'll
such
say,
foolish behavior.
what depend is it now? What do you mean by foolish? Are you talking about them just trying to talk to you, or like,
Just shit that you're not going to respond to. Like I don't respond to nonsense. Period. So if somebody is throwing themselves out
so
there
is
and
that
they're
like, hey, go
being,
ahead.
is that like what?
Is that like, hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Like, meaning you're moving
Okay,
and they're
so I'll
trying to
give you
get
an
your,
example. I'll give you an example. So we had date night last night actually, and or not last night, Friday. No, Jesus, I'm getting my days mixed up. It was Saturday. Saturday we went out and we're at Oasis. We're doing hookah. He goes to the bathroom and this guy sits down and he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I don't need to answer that question because I know it's not going to go anywhere. So I just told him, I was like, "Hey, my man's in the bathroom." And he's like, "Well, he needs to hurry up and come back." And I said, "For what?" And he's like, "You know what? He did good." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And I scooted over because I wanted to create space between us because he literally sat like right fucking here. So I scooted over and that was that. When my man came back, I told him what happened. We both kind of laughed about it and like, okay, cool. I didn't have to be disrespectful towards him. He said something disrespectful in a sense, like challenging, I guess you could say, like towards my man, but I was able to handle it with
but
a
see,
cool
that
tone.
is,
And that was that.
but I agree that what he did was disrespectful. I'm meaning if you weren't with a man and a guy approached you because he didn't know and he's like, hey, can I talk to
Well,
you for
yeah,
a
so
minute?
same
Would
same
you just
same
ignore
deal.
him?
Same deal. Let's say I was at the hookah spot with my girls and that guy came over and sat down and was like, "What's your name?" I don't need to tell him my name. Same response. I have
Right,
a
but you
man.
responded. I'm talking about to ignore somebody, I feel like is like, damn, you that's like
If
kind of
somebody's fucking screaming at me from across the street, I'm sorry, but like nobody yells at me. I don't give a fuck who you are.
right. No, I know they're situational. I was just wondering if you ignored people if they came up to you like a normal way and was just like, "Hey, like can I talk to you for a second?" Like would you just keep walking and ignore them even if they didn't yell and they're close to you, or would you say, "Hey, like honestly, I have a man, so I don't really want to entertain the conversation."
Yeah, and even honestly, even like walking down the street, like if we're on the same sidewalk and someone's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Like I'm still keeping it pushing because I don't need to stop for everybody who is trying to get my attention.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just gonna say you're probably gonna warrant a more negative response because now it looks like you feel
And
like you're
that's
well, like you feel like you're too bougie to respond to somebody, and it's
I don't
not
feel like I'm too bougie, and that's where people get the assumptions fucked up. It's not me being bougie. What do I need to respond to you for if I have a man?
because it's
And
still a
most
it's a
men
person,
need to,
and they
it's
don't know
still
that
it's
you
a
have a
person,
man.
yes, but and they don't know if I'm being bougie. So like it's a club scenario, club scene, Old Town outside, for example, I don't need to get cussed out because I didn't respond to you. Or maybe even something as simple, maybe I am single and I didn't hear you and you're
Hmm.
cussing me out. Well, that's a great way to get my attention. Fuck no now, you know? So, yeah, I think for women in a lot of cases, it's just easier to play it safe and be nice or not respond.
I got you. Yeah, and from a man's point of view, like I'm just telling you, like from a man's point of view, because even if a woman was to come up to talk to me, which I've had happen, um, I don't feel like I need to not respond. Like, yeah, if it was crazy, like you're screaming across the street, or I've had women drive by in the car and be like, just like, I'm not gonna respond to that. But like, if you was to be like, oh, like, you're really cute or whatever, and I'd be like, um, if I'm not trying to entertain them, I'm in a relationship, or I'm just not interested, I'm still going to respond because they showed respect when like they weren't disrespectful when they asked. So
Yeah, and I'm
I'm gonna
not
give
saying
the
to be
courteous.
disrespectful.
I'm gonna be courteous and like let you know respectfully. I'm in a relationship, or respectfully, like I'm not interested in meeting new people right now
Yeah, and
or
I
something.
think that's fair to say. But yeah, on a sidewalk though, like on a sidewalk, everybody's walking, you two are going the opposite direction, and someone's like, "Hey, like I'm not gonna, hey, I'm in a relationship. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna tell you that while everybody is fucking moving and I'm like in everybody's way. I'm not doing that. Like, it's not worth my time or energy." So
Just imagine you spoke on opportunity. Just imagine if that one guy that was stopping you had nothing to do with any intentions on trying to hit on you, and he could have put you in a position of power, or like was somebody of importance, and you not even, and he
possibly,
came
but I
at
guess
you,
I
but he
missed
came,
out
he
because I
that's what
wasn't interested in the introduction. You didn't make a lasting impression for me to want to respond by simply saying, "Hey, if you did have a business
not
opportunity or
hey.
something
They
of
gotta they gotta they
value
gotta see
to
if you
speak
they
about,"
gotta see if you're willing to talk. That's why I said if somebody's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? That's what I'm saying. Like
I
how
guess I missed out. Boo-hoo.
Yeah, so we're getting pretty deep into the podcast. We're close to ending it. Did was your boyfriend done on the call, or are you
Yeah,
still?
let me see really
Yeah.
quick. Yes, Michael is here. Ask your question.
How's it going?
All right, Michael, how's it going, man?
Good. How about you?
Pretty good. So I was speaking with Shay, and I heard she kind of gave you the breakdown of our conversation, and I wanted to know, as a kid growing up as a boy, what did you wear like through the ages of 10 to 15? Like, were you dressed up, suited and booted, or, like business casual, or like different like things that we wear as grown men as a 10 to 15-year-old boy?
Well, I would say that if the occasion called for a tie, this would be more so when I was like a little older, like 14, 15 in my teen years, right? Yeah, I had a couple of neckties, I had button down shirts, I had things that if the occasion called for it, I would wear, but it wasn't like something I wore to school every day. Although I did wear them to school occasionally. I did, yeah, I really did.
Oh
But
my
they were, but
God, he
but
is
they
a
were fashionable.
legend.
No, it was fashionable. It really was. And so, listen, the girls liked it, so I would wear that shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a boss man for real. That's boss child. That's boss child, cause
Yeah, so that's just the
cause
way it
yeah,
went.
so okay.
But that was on
Okay,
occasion. But
well,
typically it was 501 jeans and a t-shirt or whatever band I was into at the given time. Whatever shirt that might be, and still was still into sneakers, but didn't have sneaker money. You know what I'm saying? So
you,
would just
so
make
you
do with
didn't
what I could.
you didn't even wear like slides around as a kid?
No, I didn't wear slides around.
Okay.
No,
Okay. Well,
just sneakers.
fair
Yeah.
enough. That makes sense. Well then yeah, like that is probably how your little man is gonna be raised. Because our conversation, I was more so thinking like most guys I've spoke with or been around like at a young age, we all wore slides around. And maybe like you might have grew up in a different generation than I did, not sure, but
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
especially
like
as athletes, a lot of athletes wear slides. I mean, I've seen it obviously with a lot of kids now, and particularly
mhm,
basketball players in particular, male and female. And
right.
I think with our little guy, I mean, he's got, he's started to gather a little Jordan collection already, a little sneaker collection and stuff like. I'm kind of a sneakerhead anyway, so he'll have some dope stuff regardless. You know, that's
Okay.
just what it's gonna be. But he's got to look good because you're a reflection
Right.
of your parents, and you want to be presentable in public. That's important. Because
Okay.
people don't always take you seriously when you're not. and there's a whole different attitude that comes along with being presentable in public and the way people treat you, and especially as a minority.
100%. I agree with that. So, I mean, um, honestly, it makes sense now. So I appreciate you hopping on here because I know you didn't have to do that. So definitely thank you for getting on and giving us a breakdown.
Of course, no problem at all. Pleasure to meet you.
You as well, man. Take care.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Alrighty. So, um, yeah, it makes
No
sense.
slides.
You said what?
I
No,
said no
he
slides.
right, like, but yeah, he was a boss man growing up as a youngin, no cap. Like,
That's
so I
funny.
wasn't I wasn't expecting that. I thought like, he was oh yeah, like so hey, it makes sense. So can't I mean and again, it's not like it's negative like oh they can't I just growing up like when it came to like wearing slides and going out and playing or moving around like everybody I knew and stuff like that we always wore slides and also he did grow up in a different generation so I wonder if that had anything to do with it potentially but um outside of that I think it was a solid episode and you definitely hopped on and came through so I appreciate that. Did you have anything else
Of
you wanted
course.
to say before we end the podcast?
No, I think that we dove into some good subjects and we got some good substance out of it. I'm looking forward to the next one. So,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure. Thank you so much for getting on. And guys, we will see you in the
definitely.
next one.
Peace.
Showing up differently this time, 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 showing up.